The air itself felt like a vast, cold breath exhaling from the earth's deepest wounds. A biting wind, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant, decaying fires, whipped around the solitary figure standing at the precipice. Cloak rippling like a tattered banner against the endless, grey sky. Below, shrouded in a perpetual mist that clung to the jagged rocks like a shroud, lay the skeletal remains of what was once a thriving city. Its cyclopean stones, dark and forbidding, rose from the earth like the gnawed teeth of some ancient, long-dead beast. A raven, ancient and knowing, with eyes like polished obsidian, perched on a crumbling archway, its silent gaze fixed on the same desolate vista, as if bearing witness to the slow, inevitable dance of decay. This was not merely ruin, but a wound in the very fabric of the earth, a testament to a forgotten people whose whispers were carried now only on the moaning wind. The very air here felt heavy with the unbearable weight of untold stories, of lives, lived with fervent passion, and then abruptly, terribly silenced. What unimaginable cataclysm had struck these architects of stone, these masters of a shadowed craft, to leave naught but echoes and dust, swallowed by the insatiable maw of forgotten time? One could almost hear the distant phantom clang of bronze on stone, the rhythmic chanting of priests, the hushed murmur of a bustling market, all swallowed by the relentless maw of time, lost to the indifferent turning of centuries. Their intricate carvings, now softened by centuries of relentless rain and gnawing frost, hinted at complex rituals, at celestial observations that mapped the cosmos with astonishing precision, and at a profound, almost desperate reverence for the unseen forces that governed their world. These were not primitive folk, but a people of profound understanding, whose knowledge now mocked our modern arrogance from beneath layers of earth and legend. Yet, the vibrant pigments that once brought their sacred art to life had long since faded, just as their very names had slipped from the annals of living memory, erased by the relentless march of the ages. What mysteries did those faded hues once proclaim? What truths did they hold, now forever hidden behind a veil of silence? The subtle geometry of their remaining structures spoke of a sophisticated understanding of forces, of grand designs that stretched beyond the immediate horizon, perhaps even beyond their own lifespans. Their mastery over stone and shadow was evident in every crumbling wall, every fallen column that still bore the mark of their precise, unyielding craft. A single, intricately carved bone flute lay half buried in the scree, its polished surface, dulled by the elements, a silent lament for the melodies that once filled these now empty halls. One could imagine the haunting strains, carried on the wind, weaving through vibrant marketplaces, echoing in ceremonial chambers, or offering solace in the stillness of night. Now only the mournful sigh of the wind played through its hollow bone, a dirge for a forgotten symphony. This place felt as though the veil between worlds had thinned to mere gossamer, where the spirits of the lost seemed to linger, caught in the eternal twilight of their own making, unable to find their final rest. The very stones beneath one's feet hummed with a somber, resonant energy, a palpable frequency of sacrifice and despair, hinting at the brutal, unyielding truth that had extinguished their light, plunging them into the abyss of oblivion. The sheer scale of their ambition, evident in the remaining colossal blocks, spoke of a society bound by an unshakable sense of duty, perhaps even a terrifying collective purpose. Were they driven by devotion, by fear, or by some ancient prophetic vision now forever lost to us? The whispers of ancient tongues, now mere atmospheric vibrations, seemed to carry a warning, a cautionary tale of hubris, or perhaps of an inescapable fate woven into the very fabric of existence. Every cracked and weathered surface held a silent plea, a testament to the lives that had ebbed and flowed through these now desolate avenues. The chilling silence was not merely an absence of sound, but a deafening roar of absence, a testament to the lives that had once teemed here, now reduced to dust motes dancing in the cold, indifferent sun. What secret had they guarded so fiercely? What truth had they uncovered that necessitated their sudden and complete disappearance? Was it a plague that ravaged their vibrant flesh, leaving their beautiful cities as empty husks? Or perhaps a famine, slow and agonizing, that withered their people along with their crops? The ground itself felt like a vast, cold repository of secrets, holding the weight of their final breaths. No records remained, no chronicles to chart their decline, only the enduring, silent witness of these monumental ruins. And as the sun began its slow descent, painting the desolate landscape in hues of blood and ash, the shadows lengthened, stretching like grasping fingers across the ruins, as if to pull the observer into the very heart of the mystery, into the cold, brutal embrace of what truly happened here. The next dawn would reveal only more questions, more silent stones, and the lingering, chilling scent of what was utterly, terribly lost. The wind, now a sculptor of sand and sorrow, began to sift through the crumbling structures, eroding the very memory of what stood before. The flickering light of a single tallow candle cast dancing shadows across the ancient parchment, illuminating faded script that spoke of a kingdom swallowed by the earth, its grandeur now reduced to a haunting myth. The air in the scholar's cell was thick with the scent of aged paper and forgotten dust, a quiet testament to centuries of silence. Outside, the bells of the distant monastery tolled the mournful vespers, their familiar rhythm a stark counterpoint to the alien tale unfolding before one's eyes. This was the chronicle of a civilization, once vibrant and formidable, now reduced to a whisper in the wind, its very existence questioned by the enlightened age. Their dominion, vast and enduring, had crumbled not under the might of invading armies, but from an internal rot, a slow, insidious poison that festered beneath layers of intricate courtly ritual and the strictures of a rigid, unforgiving faith. The parchment spoke of strange fevers that withered the flesh, a creeping malaise that dimmed the eyes and stole the breath, leaving the living to contend with a terrifyingly swift and silent enemy. It spoke of crops that refused to yield, their stalks brittle and barren, their once fertile fields turning to dust despite the tireless prayers and desperate sacrifices. And then, chillingly, it told of a king who, in his mounting desperation, offered increasingly gruesome sacrifices to appease unseen furies, to placate gods who seemed to have turned their backs on his people. The ink on the page seemed to bleed with the agony of a people who, despite their grand temples and their mastery over the elements, could not escape the brutal truth of their own undoing. Every faded stroke of the quill hinted at a story of a slow, agonizing descent into madness and oblivion. A rusted key, found clutched in the skeletal hand of an unearthed artisan, seemed to hum with the lingering memory of locked chambers, of secrets too dangerous to be whispered, too terrible to be known. One could imagine the fear in that artisan's final moments, the desperate attempt to hide away a truth that would shatter their world. What forbidden knowledge had they sought? What terrible pacts had they made with forces beyond human comprehension that led to their ultimate, chilling demise? The parchment hinted at a hidden cult, a shadow society within their structured world, whose pursuit of enlightenment crossed into forbidden domains, tampering with forces they could neither control nor comprehend. Their once vibrant cities, with their bustling markets and soaring temples, became centers of a quiet, internal terror. The meticulous records meticulously detailed the king's growing paranoia, his descent into isolation, trusting no one, not even his closest advisors. The opulent tapestries that once adorned his throne room, now mere fragments, might have once depicted scenes of prosperity and divine favor, now served as poignant reminders of a grandeur irrevocably lost. The air would have grown heavy with unspoken fear, the courtiers' smiles becoming strained masks, their whispers confined to hidden corners, lest they incur the king's unpredictable wrath. The once clear waters of their sacred fountains, vital to their intricate rituals, were said to have turned black, reflecting not the heavens, but the growing darkness within their own souls. The very bells that once tolled for celebration or prayer began to sound a different note, a mournful, incessant peal, marking the relentless passage of their people into the long night. The sound would have carried over the silent fields, a dirge for a kingdom that was dying from within. The grand processions, once vibrant with music and color, gave way to somber, silent marches to the communal graves, their numbers growing. With terrifying speed, the pervasive scent of incense and ceremonial oils, once a symbol of their piety, would have mingled with the sickly sweet smell of fever and decay, clinging to the heavy air of their dying cities. Their story was a profound tragedy of hubris and a chilling testament to the unseen forces that can unravel even the most sophisticated societies. It was a civilization that, in its relentless pursuit of power or knowledge, opened a door to a darkness it could not close, revealing the brutal truth that some secrets are best left undisturbed. And as the last lines of the parchment faded into the inevitable silence of the scholar's cell, one was left with the profound, unsettling question: how many such hidden truths lie buried beneath the earth, waiting for an unsuspecting hand to uncover them, and what ancient warnings do they still whisper for our own fragile age? Asterisk, the icy spray of the northern sea lashed against the jagged cliffs, a relentless drumbeat against the silence of ages. Above, perched precariously on a windswept promontory, stood the last remnants of a forgotten fortress, its cyclopean stones scoured clean by centuries of gales. This was the desolate outpost of a people who vanished like mist on a summer morning, leaving behind only the stark beauty of their ruined stronghold and the haunting echoes of their struggle. Their sagas, etched into the very rock of their fjords, spoke of an unbreakable spirit, a deep reverence for the untamed wild, and a fierce, unyielding pride. Yet the ice continued its relentless creep, swallowing their fertile valleys, freezing their rivers, and slowly, irrevocably, strangling the life from their world. One could almost feel the frost on the cloaks of their stoic warriors, hear the desperate cries of their starving children carried on the howling wind. The very air seemed to vibrate with the memory of their last, defiant stand against an indifferent, brutal nature. Their lives were a constant negotiation with the elements, their fishing boats braving treacherous seas, their herds grazed on windswept tundras. They built their homes low to the ground, with thick turf roofs, designed to withstand the brutal northern storms. The scent of wood smoke mingled with the salty temps of the sea, creating a familiar, comforting aroma that spoke of survival against all odds. Their chieftain, a figure of immense strength and quiet wisdom, would have led the community with a grim determination, his voice resonating with tales of their ancestors' resilience. The flickering light of their hearth fires, around which they gathered each Night illuminated faces hardened by cold and struggle, yet lit by an unyielding spirit. Their feast halls, once resounding with boisterous laughter and the clinking of drinking horns filled with mead, would have grown quieter, the portions smaller, the songs more somber, as the harsh reality of the encroaching cold pressed upon them. The intricate carvings on their longboats, once symbols of glorious voyages and plentiful hauls, now seemed to mock their dwindling fortunes. The winter, once a period of challenging but manageable repose, became an unending siege. The ground froze to an impossible depth, making burial a labor of desperate, heartbreaking effort. The fishing grounds, once abundant, yielded little, their waters choked with ice. The howling blizzards became relentless, trapping families in their homes, their meager stores dwindling with terrifying speed. The cries of the hungry birds outside their windows, once a familiar sound of the wilderness, turned into a chilling lament that mirrored their own silent despair. The scent of starvation, a bitter, metallic odor, began to permeate their tightly sealed homes. A single, intricately carved wolf's head amulet, half buried in the frozen earth, offered a silent testament to their connection with the raw power of the land they both revered and battled. It whispered of a desperate migration, a futile search for warmer shores, and the grim decision to leave behind all they knew. One could imagine the wrenching farewells, the desperate hope in the eyes of those who set out, and the chilling resignation in the eyes of those too weak or too proud to follow. The creak of their longboats, pushed against ice-choked waters, would have been the last sound many heard of their homeland. Their story was not of conquest or betrayal, but of an inexorable, grinding defeat at the hands of a world that simply grew too cold, too unforgiving, revealing the brutal truth of environmental collapse. They did not fall to armies, but succumbed to the silent, unyielding advance of the ice, their spirit broken not by steel, but by frost. Their grand sagas, once etched onto stone, became lost to the shifting snows, leaving behind only the stark beauty of their ruined stronghold and the haunting echoes of their struggle. A silent monument to the power of a nature that simply chose to erase them. Beneath the suffocating canopy of an ancient, fever-haunted jungle, the crumbling walls of a once magnificent city lay entwined with grasping vines, swallowed by the insatiable green. The air was thick with the scent of decaying leaves and humid earth, punctuated by the shrill cries of unseen birds. This was the tomb of a forgotten civilization, their intricate temples and soaring pyramids now merely moss-covered ghosts, their stories consumed by the relentless embrace of the wild, their mastery of astronomy, their vibrant artistry, and their complex social structures had once defined an age, their reach stretching far beyond these suffocating confines. Yet a silent, unseen enemy, born from the very heart of their fertile lands, had turned against them. The intricate irrigation channels, once the lifeblood of their thriving agriculture, had become conduits of disease, their vibrant feasts replaced by agonizing silence. The very soil, once yielding abundant crops, now harbored unseen terrors. Life in this jungle city, though outwardly magnificent, was a constant negotiation with the relentless forces of nature. The scent of rich, damp earth after a monsoon rain would have filled their markets, mingling with the sweet aroma of exotic fruits and the pungent tang of ceremonial incense. Their days were guided by the precise movements of the sun through the jungle canopy, and their nights by the luminous glow of the moon, which they believed held sway over the waters and the growth of their crops. Their priests, with their elaborate feathered headdresses, and their profound understanding of the cosmos held immense power, interpreting the celestial cycles and overseeing the intricate rituals that ensured the prosperity of their people. The vibrant pigments used in their murals and pottery, derived from the earth itself, depicted a world teeming with life, with gods and spirits intertwined with the natural world. Children, their laughter echoing through the vast courtyards, would have played among the stone steely, innocent witnesses to a vibrant, flourishing civilization. But then the subtle shift began, a creeping dread born from the very essence of their nurturing environment. The water, once life-giving, became a source of slow, insidious death. Strange fevers, born of mosquito-ridden swamps or tainted springs, began to spread through the populace like wildfire, leaving behind a trail of withered bodies and despair. The robust health of their people, once a source of pride, was replaced by a pervasive weakness, their skin clammy with sweat, their eyes dull with illness. The vibrant sounds of the city, the chatter of the market, the rhythmic pounding of maize, the distant cries of ceremonial drums, slowly gave way to the hacking coughs of the sick, and the mournful wail of the grieving. The beautiful jade, mask unearthed from the roots of a colossal fig tree, gazed out with vacant eyes, a chilling symbol of the unseen horrors that plagued their people. One could almost hear the desperate prayers echoing through the suffocating humidity. The frantic beating of drums meant to ward off evil spirits, and the rising crescendo of coughs in their final, terrifying nights. The traditional healers, with their knowledge of jungle herbs and ancient remedies, found themselves overwhelmed, their medicines proving useless against this invisible, implacable enemy. The elaborate temple rituals, once designed to bring prosperity, were now desperate pleas for mercy, offerings of blood to gods who remained silent. Their meticulous calendars, which had charted the celestial movements for millennia, offered no prophecy for this biological apocalypse, no forewarning of an enemy that was microscopic and brutal. Their fate was a stark reminder that even the most advanced societies, in their intricate connection to nature, could be brought to their knees by a microscopic, brutal truth, a silent poison born of the very earth they revered. The jungle, which had once cradled their civilization, now became its tomb, its grasping vines slowly pulling the grand structures back into the earth, consuming their stories until only the chilling silence of what was utterly lost remained. The chilling clang of distant chains echoed through the oppressive silence of the underground labyrinth, a sound swallowed by the damp, ancient stone. The air was heavy with the smell of mildew and forgotten earth, a faint tenth of iron. This was the hidden heart of a lost empire, a subterranean world painstakingly carved from the bedrock, where a civilization once thrived in the eternal twilight, deliberately shielded from the harsh light of the surface. Their very existence was a whispered secret, their stories passed down through generations of those who, by accident or design, stumbled upon their veiled entrances. They were masters of illumination, their cavernous halls once glowing with phosphorescent fungi and cunningly channeled light. Their tools, crafted with an uncanny precision from unknown ores. Life in this hidden world was an intricate dance with darkness. The constant drip of water from unseen springs, the soft scuttle of cave-dwelling creatures, and the hushed voices of their people would have formed a symphony of subterranean existence. Their homes, carved directly from the rock, were cool and damp, their surfaces polished by centuries of touch. The scent of damp earth and carefully cultivated fungi would have permeated their dwellings, a unique aroma of their enclosed world. They ate from subterranean farms, harvesting bioluminescent crops that thrived in the constant twilight. Their diet a carefully managed ecosystem of limited resources. Their society was rigidly structured, born of the necessity of survival in such a confined space. Leaders, often the wisest and most resource-conscious, made decisions that impacted every breath, every meal. The strictures of their communal life, though seemingly harsh, ensured the efficient use of every precious resource. Festivals were celebrated with flickering torchlight and the resonating boom of drums, their sounds echoing through the vast caverns, a defiant burst of joy against the omnipresent gloom. Their artistry, expressed in intricate carvings on stalactites and stalagmites, depicted stories of their origins, of their ancestors who chose to descend, escaping a surface world they deemed hostile or chaotic. Yet their self-imposed isolation, meant as a safeguard, became their ultimate undoing. The delicate balance of their ecosystem, their reliance on specific, dwindling resources, slowly began to unravel. Perhaps a vital mineral vein ran dry, or the phosphorescent fungi began to dim, or a critical spring ceased its flow. The limited air, once carefully managed, began to grow stale, thick with the subtle scent of desperation. The very silence that had once offered solace became a suffocating presence, amplifying every cough, every anxious whisper. A single, exquisitely crafted bronze lantern, found shattered amid skeletal remains, seemed to radiate a silent, desperate plea for rescue from the encroaching darkness. One could almost feel the encroaching claustrophobia, hear the desperate, hushed conversations of a people facing an inescapable, brutal decline as their carefully hoarded resources dwindled to nothing. The intricate network of tunnels, once pathways to sustenance, became dead ends, leading only to deeper despair. The soft glow of their light-emitting fungi grew weaker, casting longer, more terrifying shadows, as if the darkness itself was closing in, claiming them. Their meticulous maps, etched onto polished stone, ended abruptly, charting a journey that had no escape, no upward path. Their tale was a profound tragedy of self-containment, a civilization that, in its pursuit of perfect security, discovered the brutal truth of unsustainable isolation. The initial descent, a choice born of foresight or fear, became an irreversible journey into oblivion. And as the last light of their lanterns flickered and died, the profound darkness of their subterranean tombs swallowed them whole, leaving behind only the echoing silence and the enduring mystery of a people who chose to hide from the world, only to be consumed by their own meticulously crafted prison. The desolate cry of a lone curlew cut through the silence of the desolate moors, a mournful lament carried on the ceaseless wind. Below, half submerged in the peat-stained bog, lay the skeletal outline of a forgotten settlement, its wattle and door-pomes long dissolved back into the earth, leaving only the ghostly imprints of their foundations. This was the final resting place of a people who, rather than face overwhelming odds, chose to disappear into the very landscape, leaving no grand monuments, no written histories, only the whispers of their desperate flight. Their lives, intimately woven with the rhythms of the land, were simple yet profound, guided by ancient druidic rites and a deep reverence for the elemental forces. The scent of damp earth and wild herbs would have filled their humble homes, mingling with the ever-present aroma of peat smoke from their hearth fires. Their days were dictated by the sun and the seasons, their hands skilled in farming the stubborn soil and herding their resilient livestock across the sweeping moors. Children, their faces often streaked with mud, would have played amidst the stone circles that marked their sacred sites, their laughter echoing against the vast, open sky. They lived in harmony with the cycles of nature, their songs and stories reflecting the beauty and the brutality of the land they called home. Their chieftains and druids, figures of quiet authority, understood the delicate balance of their existence. Their laws were unwritten, passed down through generations around the glow of the communal fire, focused on respect for the land and for one another. The simple, unadorned woolen cloaks they wore were both protection against the elements and a symbol of their unity with the natural world. Feasts, though modest, were occasions for profound gratitude, celebrating the bounty the land reluctantly offered, and reinforcing the bonds of kinship that held their small communities together. Yet, the encroaching shadows of a more dominant, iron-willed empire, with its disciplined legions and its insatiable hunger for conquest, left them with an impossible choice. The distant rumble of hooves on hardened ground, the glint of sun on unfamiliar armor, would have been the first chilling signs of a world that understood power in a way they did not. The scent of wood smoke, carried on a sudden gust, now seemed to conjure images of hurried departures, of meager possessions clutched tightly, of children led into the unknown. The freedom of their wild, open lands was suddenly threatened by the very concept of boundaries and ownership. A single, beautifully crafted woven basket, preserved by the bog's peculiar chemistry, held nothing but a handful of dried berries, a poignant symbol of their vanishing sustenance and the desperate measure of their flight. One could imagine the wrenching farewells, the desperate hope in the eyes of those who set out, and the chilling resignation in the eyes of those too weak or too proud to follow. The creak of their longboats, pushed against ice-choked waters, would have been the last sound many heard of their homeland. Their story was not of ruin, but of an intentional erasure, a desperate act of defiance through invisibility. They did not fight a battle they knew they could not win. Instead, they chose to become ghosts, slipping away from the grasp of an empire that sought to dominate all. Their legacy was not one of monuments or conquests, but of a profound and heartbreaking sacrifice, the conscious choice to disappear, leaving behind only the faint imprint of their lives in the land they loved, a testament to the brutal truth that sometimes the only way to survive is to cease to exist in the eyes of the world. The mournful tolling of a cracked bell, carried on a gust of dust-laden wind, echoed across the parched plains. Before it, the sun-baked remains of a once majestic city shimmered like a mirage, its mud-brick walls crumbling into the desert sands, its grand courtyards now swept by endless winds. This was the spectral city of a lost civilization, its people vanished as if spirited away by the very elements they had sought to master. Their intricate waterworks, their vast granaries, and their complex societal hierarchy spoke of a people who had wrestled prosperity from a harsh land, their lives a testament to ingenuity and collective will. Yet the heavens, once their benefactors, turned against them. Life in this desert metropolis was a triumph of engineering and communal effort. The scent of rich spices from their markets mingled with the earthy aroma of wet clay from their potters, quarter, and the ever-present scent of arid dust. Their days were structured around the meticulous maintenance of their life-giving canals, their very existence a testament to their mastery over a hostile environment. The rhythm of their lives was tied to the flow of the river, its waters a constant reminder of their precarious dependence on nature's bounty. Their homes, built of sun-baked mud brick, provided cool refuge from the relentless desert heat, their interiors often adorned with vibrant textiles and intricate patterns. Their priests, powerful figures whose pronouncements guided every aspect of life, interpreted the will of the celestial bodies, believing that the stars held the key to the river's flow and the earth's fertility. Festivals were grand, colorful affairs, celebrating the harvests and the life-giving waters, their sounds echoing across the vast plains. Children, their skin tanned by the sun, would have played in the cool shade of their public buildings, their laughter a counterpoint to the drone of daily labor. Their granaries, vast and meticulously managed, were the beating heart of their city, ensuring sustenance for all, a testament to their collective foresight and discipline. But then the heavens, once their benefactors, turned against them. The vital rivers dwindled to trickles, their once powerful currents reduced to mere veins of mud, reflecting the barren sky. The life-giving rains ceased, and the sun, once a source of warmth and light, became an unforgiving furnace, its rays scorching the earth and turning the very air into a palpable heat. The scent of desiccated earth and distant, decaying animal hides permeated the air, a constant reminder of the encroaching desolation. The once vibrant sounds of their city, the murmur of voices, the clang of tools, the splash of water faded into a chilling silence, broken only by the mournful wind whistling through empty structures. A broken ceramic water jug, its intricate patterns still visible, lay half buried in the sand, a poignant symbol of their ultimate, agonizing thirst. One could almost hear the desperate prayers offered to silent gods, the dwindling murmurs of their once vibrant markets, and the agonizing silence that ultimately claimed them. The grand irrigation canals, once flowing with life, became dusty, scars across the land, monuments to a brutal truth that even the most determined human spirit, even the most sophisticated society, could not overcome when nature itself turned foe. The very sand, once kept at bay by their ingenuity, began its relentless march, slowly reclaiming their magnificent city, burying its stories and its people beneath its indifferent, shifting dunes, their wisdom, their intricate understanding of the desert, their collective will. None of it could halt the inexorable advance of nature's wrath. The city, a monument to their defiance against the desert, became their tomb, its great walls unable to hold back the encroaching dust and the suffocating heat. Their legacy was not one of ruin, but of a slow, agonizing erasure, a testament to the fact that even the most meticulously built civilizations are ultimately at the mercy of the fundamental forces of the earth. And as the final glimmer of human life faded, the profound silence of the desert swallowed them whole, leaving behind only the haunting specter of what once was, utterly, terribly lost to the vast, indifferent expanse of time.